Number 1.
I was about 11 years old at the time, and I was home alone on a school day. I had begged my father the night before to let me skip. My Aunt Flo came for a visit, some of the ladies here would understand, and I was not in the mood to sit through 8 hours of class. So I feigned sick, and my father allowed me to stay home. My aunt, the real life one, was at work, so I had the house to myself. So I get to spend a school day in my three-story house all by myself. At 11, I thought I was boss. It was around 10:30 in the morning when I was suddenly awoken by a commotion downstairs. Me, being a naive, incoherent 11-year-old, thought, hey, my aunt stopped by during her lunch break. Cool. So I turned back over, and for the next 5 minutes I attempted to fall back asleep. But the noise continued. So begrudgingly, I yawned and arose from my bed to go downstairs to greet her. But I needed to take a detour to the potty first. Rubbing the crust from my eyes, I practically sleptwalked to the bathroom. I did my business. Then, as soon as I flushed the toilet, I heard what sounded like someone take off downstairs. That woke me up. It was then that I completely turned into a horror movie cliché. I became the exact person who I, upon seeing them on television, would curse out and throw popcorn at. I quickly went downstairs to check out what the heck was going on. I think I knew that something was wrong, but being the idiot that I was, I still wanted to see what the noise was. So I got to the second floor landing and creeped around the corner to look downstairs, and saw the back door wide open. And I froze. I actually froze for a solid 25 to 30 seconds, and then it started to click. I went from confusion to fear. My heart rate picked up. My breath shortened. My eyes started to well up. Then I took off upstairs to my room and locked myself in and barricaded myself in by shoving my bed in front of my door. I hid behind the opposite side of the bed and practically had a mini panic attack before searching for my phone and calling my dad. Upon picking up, I quietly asked whether he came over. No, he was at work. Did he know if my cousin stopped by? No, not that he knew of. Why? I told him and he practically blew up. Called the police. I stayed in that spot behind my bed until the cops came. According to them, the thief was only able to grab a laptop and a few other items before they took off after hearing me upstairs. After that, my dad installed a security system and changed all the locks. Back then, it never really hit me the severity of what happened. But now, 12 years later, I realize how freaking stupid I was, and how I made a shit ton of mistakes that could have cost me. The thing that frightens me the most is the fact that whoever it was probably knew my aunt and I's schedule so well they were brazen enough to break in the morning. Because the neighborhood is nice, the houses aren't super spread out, and it never screamed, hey, rob me, this house is an easy target. I don't know. Whatever. Although I never actually came in contact with the person, it still scared the crap out of me. And every so often I can't help but look back and wonder, what if I hadn't had to use the bathroom? It's been speculated amongst my family that the robber could have been one of my cousins that has had a few brush-ins with the law. We never found out. But yeah, whoever you were, let's never meet.
Number 2.
I recently got into contact with a childhood friend who reminded me of a particular weird incident that happened to us. School had just ended, so my friends and I were taking our usual route home, which had a car dealership, some houses, and a church along the way. The church always seems to be empty. I frequently walked my dog around the area, and out of the 4 years I lived there, I had never seen anyone go in or out. Anyways, as we approached the church, we noticed a table with two men sitting behind it. They called us over, and one of my friends, out of a group of 5 including myself, decided to dumbly wander over to them instead of ignoring them like we normally would have done. They began to ask us questions, focusing on the three girls more than the remaining boys. They were young, probably in their early 20s, very charismatic. They asked us how old we were, where we lived, and whether or not we went to this church. After a bit of conversation, they learned that I lived the closest to the church, and so they focused on me, which seemed somewhat odd to me. You would think they'd be happy enough to get anyone to come to church. Two of my friends had wandered off to a store too far, so it was just a boy, another female, and myself. At this point, the two men had ignored my friends altogether. Apparently, they were trying to get younger people to join their youth group. Mind you, they had no flyers, nothing signifying that they actually worked for the church. They were dressed casually with a cooler nearby. At that time, they didn't raise any red flags. They zoned in on me. The younger one began to flirt with me, complimenting me, going on to say how great it would be to see me at the youth group. He said that the people who attended were really good people and I'd have tons of fun, and they were about to start soon. I had no intention of going, but went along with it just to be polite, saying that I had to get home to change or something along those lines. Before we left, he pulled out a bottle of Coke from the cooler. He handed it to me with a smile and really invaded my personal space. "It starts in a few minutes. I hope you can make it to the meeting," he shouts as my friends and I quickly walked off. My friends and I stood in front of my house for a little while, chatting and joking around, completely forgetting about what had just occurred, brushing it off as just eccentric church recruiters. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a figure at the end of the street. I had just assumed it was another student walking by to their home. I came to learn that it wasn't. Once my friends had said their goodbyes, I walked into my home and went straight for the kitchen as most kids do once they get home. I made a snack and decided to drink the Coke I was so graciously given. 20 minutes later, I didn't feel too good, so I sat on the couch and hoped it'd go away. At the time, I was suffering from chronic migraines, so I assumed it was due to that. I remember feeling a wave of drowsiness crash over me, but nothing else after that. According to my mother, she tried repeatedly to wake me up to no avail. I'm not a heavy sleeper. Any little noise tends to wake me up, but not this time. I had apparently fallen asleep at around 3 in the afternoon, and I didn't wake up until 12 in the afternoon the next day. At that, I didn't feel good at all. I was sweating, felt woozy, and couldn't bring myself to move for a little while. I can't say for sure that I was drugged or anything like that, but what struck me as odd was that my mom had also said that a young white guy had come to look for me about an hour after I had fallen asleep, claiming that I was a friend and wanted to see if I could hang out. I don't know what their intentions were or if they were really representing the church, but shady church recruiters, let's not meet. Hey everybody, I hope you enjoyed the second volume of Let's Not Meet. There will definitely be more to come. Until then, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to get your weekly updates. And remember, be dreadful of things that happen in the night.